The vanishing tribe of the Amazon. Deep in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, there once lived a tribe that seemed to exist outside of time. Hidden beneath the canopy of green, surrounded by rivers that twist like serpents and insects that sing endlessly through the night, this tribe was known to a few explorers but remained a mystery to the world. Stories tell of a people who lived in perfect harmony with nature. They built no permanent houses, left almost no tools behind, and moved silently through the forest as if they were part of it. Then, one day, they were gone. No signs of struggle, no footprints leading away, no remains, just empty clearings and faint carvings on the trees, as if they had evaporated into the jungle air. In the 1970s and 80s, several expeditions reported glimpsing these isolated people, small fires burning at night, arrows left near riverbanks as warnings, and voices echoing from deep within the foliage. But by the early 2000s, even those traces had vanished. Scientists and anthropologists began asking, what happened to them? Did disease wipe them out? Did they flee deeper into the uncharted parts of the forest to avoid modern contact? Or could something far stranger have happened, something beyond our understanding? The Amazon has always been a place of mystery. It holds over 2 million species of plants and animals, and thousands more are still undiscovered. Many tribes have lived there for thousands of years, untouched by modern civilization. When loggers, miners, and missionaries began pushing deeper into the forest, they brought with them not just tools and religion but also deadly diseases that indigenous bodies had never faced before. To some researchers, this is the simplest and saddest answer: the tribe didn't vanish by choice, they were wiped out silently by invisible killers like measles and smallpox, leaving behind nothing but silence. Yet others disagree. They believe the tribe retreated further into the unknown, following ancient trails into parts of the forest so dense that even satellites cannot see through them. There are regions of the Amazon still completely unexplored, where even modern drones cannot navigate. Indigenous experts say there are still uncontacted tribes living in secrecy, hiding from the outside world, their survival depending on being unseen. Could the vanishing tribe have chosen exile rather than extinction? Maybe they are still out there, walking among the trees, avoiding the sound of helicopters, leaving no trace to stay invisible. Then there are the legends told by nearby tribes, stories passed down for generations. They speak of forest spirits who guard sacred ground and punish outsiders who venture too close. Some believe the missing tribe was taken by these spirits, not killed, but transformed, becoming part of the forest itself. The elders claim that on quiet nights, if you listen carefully, you can hear their songs in the wind, a haunting melody. The Bermuda Triangle, the ocean's greatest mystery. There's a place on Earth where logic seems to disappear. A region so strange, so unpredictable, that it has swallowed hundreds of ships and aircraft without a single trace. This is the Bermuda Triangle, a name that still sends chills down the spine of sailors and pilots around the world. Located in the western Atlantic Ocean, the Bermuda Triangle forms an invisible boundary between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Within this vast area, countless mysterious events have occurred: vessels lost forever, planes vanishing mid-flight, and no wreckage ever found. For decades, explorers and scientists have tried to uncover the truth behind these vanishings. Some say the area suffers from magnetic anomalies that interfere with compasses and aircraft instruments, causing navigation systems to go haywire. Others blame methane gas bubbles erupting from the seafloor, powerful enough to reduce the water's density, making ships sink instantly as if pulled by an unseen hand. And then some point to rogue waves, massive, unpredictable walls of water rising out of nowhere, capable of crushing even the strongest vessels. In such an unforgiving ocean, even a single mistake can mean disaster. But the Bermuda Triangle's mystery goes far beyond natural explanations. One of the most famous cases occurred in December 1945, when Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy bombers, vanished during a routine training mission. The pilots radioed in, saying their compasses weren't working and that the ocean below looked strange, almost glowing. Moments later, all communication was lost. A rescue plane sent after them also disappeared. Not a single piece of debris was ever recovered. Over the years, hundreds of similar reports have surfaced, ships found drifting without crew, planes disappearing from radar screens, and survivors describing bizarre fogs, strange lights, and sudden shifts in time or direction. Some researchers believe that strong electromagnetic fields in the region may create distortions, even brief time warps, that confuse or transport anything within their range. Others whisper about underwater alien bases, or portals to another dimension hidden beneath the ocean floor. While these ideas sound like science fiction, what makes the Bermuda Triangle so terrifying is that even today, with modern technology, GPS systems, and satellite tracking, planes and ships still vanish here. No distress calls. No signals. No clues. Maybe the answer lies deep beneath the ocean, in a part of the world still unexplored by humankind. Or maybe the truth is far stranger than we can imagine. ChatGPT said. The Siberian sinkholes, Earth's explosive warning. Deep in the frozen lands of Siberia, something terrifying and mysterious began to appear, giant holes suddenly ripping open the Earth's surface. These massive craters, some more than 30 meters wide and 70 meters deep, shocked scientists and locals alike. At first glance, many believed they were the result of meteor impacts, as if something from space had slammed into the tundra with immense force. But soon, researchers discovered that the true cause was far more alarming, and far closer to home. Siberia is covered by permafrost, a thick layer of frozen ground that has remained solid for thousands of years. Beneath it, enormous pockets of methane gas lie trapped. For centuries, the cold temperatures kept this gas securely sealed under ice and soil. But as the Earth's climate warms, the permafrost begins to melt, releasing pressure and creating unstable conditions underground. Eventually, the trapped methane builds up so intensely that it explodes, blasting chunks of earth and ice high into the air and leaving behind enormous, perfectly round sinkholes. When scientists first examined these craters, they found signs of explosions, scorched edges, scattered debris, and frozen mud ejected hundreds of meters away. The force of these blasts is so powerful that they can be. And then some point to rogue waves, massive, unpredictable walls of water rising out of nowhere, capable of crushing even the strongest vessels. In such an unforgiving ocean, even a single mistake can mean disaster. But the Bermuda Triangle's mystery goes far beyond natural explanations. One of the most famous cases occurred in December 1945, when Flight 19, a group of 5 U.S. Navy bombers, vanished during a routine training mission. The pilots radioed in, saying their compasses weren't working and that the ocean below looked strange, almost glowing. Moments later, all communication was lost. A rescue plane sent after them also disappeared. Not a single piece of debris was ever recovered. Over the years, hundreds of similar reports have surfaced, ships found drifting without crew, planes disappearing from radar screens, and survivors describing bizarre fogs, strange lights, and sudden shifts in time or direction. Some researchers believe that strong electromagnetic fields in the region may create distortions, even brief time warps, that confuse or transport anything within their range. Others whisper about underwater alien bases, or portals to another dimension hidden beneath the ocean floor. While these ideas sound like science fiction, what makes the Bermuda Triangle so terrifying is that even today, with modern technology, GPS systems, and satellite tracking, planes and ships still vanish here. No distress calls. No signals. No clues. Maybe the answer lies deep beneath the ocean, in a part of the world still unexplored by humankind. Or maybe the truth is far stranger than we can imagine.
Bigfoot, the mysterious giant of the forest. Deep within the dense forests and misty mountains of North America, tales of a towering human-like creature have been told for generations. Known by many names, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or the forest giant, this mysterious being is said to stand up to 8 or 9 feet tall, covered head to toe in dark brown or black hair, with enormous footprints that measure over 18 inches long. For many, Bigfoot is the ultimate symbol of the unknown, a living mystery walking among us. Reports of Bigfoot sightings stretch back hundreds of years. Indigenous tribes in the Pacific Northwest have ancient legends of a giant, wild man of the woods, a protector of nature, yet feared by those who crossed its path. In modern times, hundreds of eyewitnesses claim to have seen the creature crossing roads at night, moving silently through fog-covered forests, or watching from the shadows with glowing red eyes. The evidence surrounding Bigfoot has fueled one of the most passionate debates in cryptozoology. Massive footprints have been discovered in muddy trails and snow-covered valleys, sometimes showing unique dermal ridges similar to human skin. Hair samples, too coarse for any known animal, have been collected, though most tests remain inconclusive. And of course, there are the blurry photos and shaky videos that continue to spark controversy, the most famous being the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film, which appears to show a large ape-like creature walking upright through the forest in California. Skeptics argue that Bigfoot is nothing more than myth or misidentification, perhaps a bear standing on its hind legs, or an elaborate hoax carried out by pranksters. Yet believers counter that with thousands of reported sightings across North America, it's hard to dismiss them all as mistakes or lies. Some researchers propose that Bigfoot could be a relic species of giant ape, similar to the prehistoric Gigantopithecus, which once roamed parts of Asia and could have migrated across the Bering Land Bridge thousands of years ago. Despite countless expeditions, no physical body or bones have ever been found, one of the biggest arguments against Bigfoot's existence. But supporters point out that the forests where sightings occur are vast and largely unexplored. Many species have been discovered in remote regions only recently, proving that nature still hides secrets.
The Skeleton Lake of Rupkund, a Himalayan mystery frozen in time. High in the remote Himalayas of northern India, at an altitude of over 16,000 feet, lies a small glacial lake known as Rupkund. At first glance, it looks like a serene, icy pond surrounded by towering snow-covered peaks, but beneath its frozen surface lies one of the most chilling mysteries ever discovered. As the ice melts each summer, hundreds of human skeletons emerge, their bones scattered along the edges of the lake. For decades, no one knew who these people were, where they came from, or what caused their sudden mass death. The discovery dates back to the 1940s, when a British forest ranger stumbled upon the site and found the remains of what seemed like an entire army, skulls, bones, and even ancient weapons and jewelry eerily preserved by the cold. Locals believed the lake was cursed, calling it the Skeleton Lake, and legends began to spread that it was a divine punishment or the site of a royal pilgrimage gone terribly wrong. For many years, scientists speculated that the people had died from disease, avalanche, or warfare. However, the mystery deepened when DNA studies and carbon dating revealed something unexpected. The skeletons belonged to two distinct groups of people, one of local Himalayan origin and another from much farther away, possibly from the Mediterranean region. Even more astonishing, they all died at roughly the same time, about 1,200 years ago, around the 9th century. When researchers examined the skulls, they found deep, round fractures, not caused by weapons, but by massive hailstones. These wounds matched the kind of damage that would occur if heavy, cricket ball-sized hail were to strike unprotected human heads. It led scientists to conclude that the group had been caught in a sudden, deadly hailstorm while traveling through the mountains with no shelter to protect them. The brutal storm killed them all, and their remains were gradually frozen into the lake, preserved by centuries of ice. Even today, the Skeleton Lake remains a haunting sight. As the snow melts, skulls and bones still appear, along with pieces of wooden artifacts, iron rings, and leather sandals, silent reminders of that tragic day. The lake stands as a natural time capsule, holding the secrets of a disaster that took place more than a millennium ago. But mysteries still linger. Why were people from such distant lands traveling together through one of the harshest terrains on Earth? Was it a religious pilgrimage, a trade expedition, or something else entirely? The answers remain buried beneath the snow and silence of the Himalayas.
The Owlman of Cornwall, the winged guardian of Monnan Church. In the quiet countryside of Cornwall, England, lies the small village of Monnan, surrounded by ancient forests and whispers of old legends. But in the summer of 1976, this peaceful place became the center of one of Britain's strangest mysteries, the sightings of a terrifying, half-man, half-owl creature later known as the Owlman of Cornwall. It began when two young girls visiting the old Monnan church reported seeing a huge winged figure perched high in the trees. They described it as having the body of a man, large feathered wings, and glowing red eyes that stared down at them through the dusk. The creature let out an eerie, screeching sound before taking flight, its wings so wide they seemed to darken the sky. The frightened girls ran home, and their story quickly spread through the village. Over the following years, more witnesses claimed to see the same strange being hovering near the church or gliding silently above the treetops. Some described it as a giant bird-like humanoid covered in gray feathers with clawed hands and an otherworldly presence. What made the reports so unsettling was their consistency. People of different ages, backgrounds, and beliefs all described almost exactly the same thing. Scientists and skeptics suggested it could have been a large owl, perhaps a Eurasian eagle owl, whose wingspan can reach up to 2 meters. Under certain light conditions, its eyes can appear to glow, especially when startled at night. However, those who actually saw the creature insist it was far too large, too human-like, and moved with intelligence, not like any bird known to science. Local folklore soon wrapped itself around the mystery. Some villagers began to believe that the Owlman was not an animal at all, but a supernatural guardian protecting the ancient church, a place said to stand on sacred Celtic ground long before Christianity arrived. Others feared it was an omen of misfortune or death, appearing only before tragic events. Researchers who visited Monnan in later years discovered that the sightings always occurred near the same church, often around Easter, adding to the mystery. Was it coincidence or something ritualistic, tied to older beliefs and energies hidden beneath the land? Even today, no one has ever captured clear evidence of the Owlman. There are sketches, eyewitness reports, and a few eerie photos, but nothing that conclusively proves what people saw that summer in Cornwall. Still, the legend refuses to die. Travelers continue to visit Monnan Church, hoping to catch a glimpse of the winged phantom that haunted the skies nearly 50 years ago. Whether the Owlman was a rare bird, a misunderstood creature, or a supernatural being guarding sacred ground, it remains one of the most haunting mysteries of British folklore, a reminder that even in the heart of England, ancient legends may still take flight under the cover of night.
The spontaneous human combustion mystery, fire from within. Among the strangest and most unsettling mysteries ever recorded is the phenomenon known as spontaneous human combustion, cases where human beings suddenly burst into flames, reduced to ash within moments, while everything around them remains mysteriously untouched. These rare and horrifying incidents have puzzled scientists, doctors, and investigators for centuries, leaving behind more questions than answers. Reports of spontaneous human combustion, or SHC, date back to the 17th century, but some of the most famous cases occurred in modern times, with photographic evidence that defies all logic. Victims are often found burned almost completely to ash, yet nearby objects like furniture, carpets, and walls show minimal damage. In many instances, only the legs or feet remain intact, as if the fire consumed only the upper body in a strange, focused blaze. One of the most famous examples occurred in 1951, when Mary Reeser, a woman from Florida, was discovered in her apartment completely burned to ash except for one foot still wearing a slipper. The chair she had been sitting in was partially scorched, but the rest of the room was untouched. The temperature required to cremate a body like that exceeds 1,600 degrees Celsius, far higher than any house fire could reach, yet there was no sign of such intense heat in her surroundings. Over the years, scientists have proposed a number of theories, though none have been proven. One of the most discussed is the wick effect, which suggests that a small external flame, such as a dropped cigarette, could ignite a person's clothing, and the body fat then acts like candle wax, fueling a slow, contained fire that consumes the body. However, this still doesn't explain why the combustion often seems to begin internally, or why so many witnesses describe seeing blue flames or hearing no noise at all. Others have speculated that chemical reactions inside the body could be the trigger, perhaps a rare buildup of flammable gases like methane, combined with static electricity or sudden enzyme reactions. Some researchers have even proposed electrostatic energy discharges or ball lightning as possible causes. Still, every scientific explanation leaves gaps, unable to fully explain how the human body could ignite so violently from within without spreading flames outward. For centuries, the idea of fire emerging from the human body has also inspired supernatural theories. Some believe these victims were cursed, possessed, or punished by divine forces. In the 1800s, spontaneous combustion was even used in Gothic literature, most famously in Charles Dickens' novel Bleak House, where it symbolized moral corruption consuming the soul from within.
The Dyatlov Pass incident, Russia's most terrifying mystery. In the frozen wilderness of the Ural Mountains in Russia, an event occurred in 1959 that still sends chills down the spine of anyone who hears about it. The tragic and baffling story known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. What began as a peaceful hiking expedition turned into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern history. The story so strange that it blurs the line between fact and nightmare. 9 experienced hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, led by Igor Dyatlov, set out on a skiing and mountaineering trip during the harsh winter of February 1959. They were young, skilled, and well prepared for the cold. Their goal was to reach Otorten Mountain, a remote and challenging peak, but they never made it. Weeks later, search teams discovered their abandoned campsite, and what they found defied all logic. The hikers' tent had been ripped open from the inside as if they had fled in terror during the night. Their belongings, food, shoes, warm clothing were left neatly behind, suggesting they escaped suddenly, without time to prepare. In temperatures dropping below -30 degrees Celsius, they ran into the snow barefoot or barely dressed, some wearing only socks or underwear. Over the next few weeks, their bodies were discovered scattered across the mountainside, each one in increasingly strange conditions. Some were found frozen in the snow, seemingly trying to return to the tent. Others were discovered near the forest beside the remains of a small fire. But the last 4 bodies, found months later under deep snow, revealed disturbing injuries: broken ribs, crushed skulls, an internal trauma so severe it was compared to a car crash. Yet strangely, there were no external wounds, as if the damage came from an invisible force. Even more mysterious, one victim's tongue was missing, another's eyes were gone, and traces of radiation were found on some of their clothes. Theories exploded, from a military experiment gone wrong to a secret weapon test, an avalanche, a Yeti attack, or even alien contact. But no explanation fully fits the evidence. There were no footprints of strangers, no signs of struggle, and no proof of an avalanche strong enough to destroy the tent in that way. The official Soviet investigation concluded only that the hikers had died due to a compelling natural force, a phrase that offered no answers and deepened the mystery further. For decades, researchers, scientists, and conspiracy theorists have tried to solve the puzzle. Some say the group may have been disoriented by infrasound waves caused by wind patterns, driving them into panic. Others think they witnessed secret military tests and were silenced. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case and later concluded that an avalanche was the likely cause. But most experts and the public remain unconvinced. Too many questions still linger. Why were the injuries so severe? Why were some of the bodies radioactive? And what terrified the hikers so much that they tore their way out of their own tent into the freezing night? To this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in history, a story frozen in time, buried under the snow of the Ural Mountains. Whatever happened that night in 1959, it serves as a haunting reminder that even in our scientific age, the wilderness can still hide secrets beyond imagination.
The Legend of Mel's Hole, the bottomless mystery of Washington State. In the remote hills of Ellensburg, Washington, a man named Mel Waters claimed to have discovered something beyond belief, a bottomless pit, a hole so deep that nothing dropped into it ever made a sound upon hitting bottom. This eerie tale, known today as the Legend of Mel's Hole, has become one of the most fascinating and unsettling mysteries in modern American folklore. A story that blends science, superstition, and the unexplored depths of the earth itself. According to Mel, he first discovered the hole on his rural property in the 1990s. At first glance, it looked like a simple well, about 9 feet across, lined with bricks for several dozen feet down before fading into complete, featureless darkness. But what made it strange was its unnatural depth. Mel claimed he had tried lowering fishing line with a weighted object to measure it, and after dropping over 80,000 feet of line, he still never felt it touch bottom. That's over 15 miles deep, far deeper than any known natural hole or borehole on Earth. Locals around Ellensburg said the hole had always been there, long before Mel bought the land. Some even claimed it was used as a dumping site for trash and dead animals. Yet, mysteriously, no smell ever came from it, and nothing thrown in was ever seen or heard of again. Stranger still, Mel and others noticed that animals refused to go near the hole. Dogs would bark, whine, and dig in their heels, refusing to approach it, as if sensing something unnatural or dangerous. When Mel first told his story on a radio show hosted by Art Bell in 1997, it captured the public's imagination. Thousands of listeners called in with their own theories that it was a bottomless natural chasm, a portal to another dimension, or even a secret military experiment. Mel claimed that after he went public, mysterious government officials visited his property, confiscated the area, and warned him to remain silent. When he later returned, he said his land had been completely sealed off and erased from public maps, as if it had never existed. Over the years, skeptics have tried to find physical evidence of Mel's Hole, but none has ever been located.
There are no official records of the property, no satellite images showing the pit, and no verifiable coordinates. Some suggest Mel may have fabricated the entire story, while others believe the government may have covered up its existence. The legend of Mel's Hole continues to thrive because it touches on something deeply human, our fear of the unknown beneath our feet. The idea that the earth hides something infinite, silent, and powerful resonates with people across generations. Whether it's a scientific anomaly, a supernatural gateway, or simply a story that grew beyond its teller, Mel's Hole has become a modern myth, a symbol of the mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of our world. To this day, people still travel to the hills of Ellensburg, hoping to find the spot where the earth supposedly opens into infinity. But the hole, if it ever existed, remains lost, leaving behind only a legend that refuses to die.
The Naga fireballs of Thailand, the serpent's lights of the Mekong River. Along the tranquil waters of the Mekong River, on the border between Thailand and Laos, an astonishing and unexplained phenomenon occurs every year. As night falls during the Buddhist festival of the end of Lent, Okan Pansa, hundreds of glowing red and orange orbs rise silently from the river surface, drifting upward into the sky before vanishing into the darkness. These mysterious lights, known as the Naga fireballs, have fascinated and baffled both locals and scientists for generations. According to local legend, the fireballs come from the Paya Naga, a mythical serpent-like dragon said to dwell deep within the Mekong River. The Naga is a sacred figure in Buddhist and Hindu mythology, a powerful spiritual guardian that connects the human and divine worlds. The people of the region believe that the Naga releases these glowing orbs as an offering to honor the Buddha's return to earth after his retreat in heaven. Every year, thousands gather along the riverbanks to witness this breathtaking display, treating it not just as a natural wonder, but a spiritual event, a sign of the unseen powers that still dwell within nature. Yet for scientists and skeptics, the Naga fireballs present one of Asia's most enduring natural mysteries. Researchers have tried to explain the glowing orbs through scientific means, suggesting they might be caused by combustion of methane gas or phosphine rising from the riverbed, igniting when it meets oxygen in the air. However, no experiment or observation has ever been able to replicate or record the actual process of the lights forming and lifting from the water. Even with modern cameras and scientific equipment, no one has captured the exact moment when the fireballs appear. Some investigators claim the phenomenon is man-made, perhaps flares or fireworks set off from the opposite riverbank to attract tourists. But those who have witnessed the fireballs firsthand insist they rise naturally and silently long before any organized events begin, appearing in random locations and moving with eerie precision. Witnesses describe them as perfectly spherical lights, the size of small flames, glowing with a soft reddish hue that leaves no smoke, sound, or residue behind. For the locals, no scientific reasoning can outweigh centuries of faith and tradition. To them, the fireballs are a blessing, proof that the spiritual world is real and that the Naga still watches over the Mekong River. For scientists, they remain an unsolved phenomenon, a reminder that even in our age of technology, nature still holds secrets that defy explanation. Every year, as thousands gather under the night sky and the first glowing orb rises from the river's surface, a hush falls over the crowd. It is a moment when belief and mystery become one, when the Mekong comes alive with lights from another world. Whether born of myth or science, the Naga fireballs of Thailand remain one of the world's most enchanting and unexplained wonders,
a dance of flame between heaven, earth, and water.